going on, everybody? Lawson Turner back with another episode of the Cover 2 podcast. And for this episode, we're going to be going back to our roots and going back to the NFL. We're going to be going over the first round of the NFL draft. Who was picked? We're going to be going over all the picks of the first round. Some of my thoughts, opinions, concerns on some of the players that were selected, who I would have took, insights, reasonings behind this, that, the other. Let's get straight into it. With the first pick, the Bears took Caleb Williams. This is not much of a surprise. We've known for the better part of a year and a half now that Caleb was going to be chosen number one. Only question was who had the pick. And when Justin Fields was traded to my Pittsburgh Steelers, this made Caleb a lock to be number one. It was a lock. That's nothing more to say. Let's go to the second pick. Second pick, the Washington Commanders took Jaden McDaniels. I personally would have took Drake May. It's not that I dropped something. It's not like I think that Jaden Daniels isn't going to work out in the NFL. I do to an extent. I think that if they can, as once again I'm distracted, as if Jaden Daniels would have gone to New England at 3, I don't think he would have been successful. But I think he's going to be very successful his first year under Cliff Kingsbury due to we've seen Cliff have success with mobile quarterbacks. We saw him have statistical success in college with Patrick Mahomes, and then we saw him have a little bit of success record wise for at least 1 year with Kyler Murray when he was the head coach in Arizona. And we know that Jaden Daniels' ceiling is high, very mobile, moves great, strong arm, beautiful touch on deep balls, and he's going to a place that has two good receivers who he could show off that deep arm. Let's go to the third pick. Drake May goes to New England. There was speculation for weeks. Is New England going to stay pat? Are they going to trade back and just try and get more ammunition? Because they're not a quarterback away. The New England Patriots are not a quarterback away. I hate to say it, Patriots fans. Drake May is not going to make you not a Super Bowl contender, big picture. They're not going to make you a contender in the AFC East, small picture. Uh, I think he's got a really, really, really good arm. He moves really well. Obviously, not as well as like a Caleb Williams or Jaden McDaniels, but he does move well enough that I think he's going to translate well into the second level, which is the NFL. We saw him have a down year his last year in at North Carolina, which scared off some scouts and scared off potentially some teams. I think you could start him day one and just go through the growing pains, and then who knows where he will be if New England can get him or whoever is under center week one some weapons. The fourth pick, Marvin Harrison Jr. to the Cardinals. The only shock to me was leading up to the draft. Some people were in there when they were releasing mock drafts and things of that nature. They were saying, "Oh, is Marvin Harrison going to be the first receiver taken off, to go off the board?" Yes. This is not a. This is the lock of. We've known this for about a month and a half. Like it's a slam dunk. He is the most pro ready, technically sound receiver, and he has been that for the better part of 2 years since he had his coming out party at Ohio State. He's been dominating college, and do I think he'll dominate the NFL? He's taller than his dad was. I think his dad might be slightly faster, but I think Marvin Harrison is set up to have great success with Kyler Murray in Arizona. Now, to move on to the Chargers and the fifth pick. I'm surprised that the Chargers did not move this pick. I don't know what they were getting offered for it. I assumed, and a lot of people assumed, oh, the logical thing, Vikings need a quarterback. They're going to throw the 11 and 23 at you and try and move up. And so, you know, Captain Khaki Pants can take, as much draft capital as he needs and just stack up on his roster because he has advantage that a lot of these other NFL, head coaches don't have. And it's the fact that he knows all of these kids coming out. He knows who can play. He knows who can't play. Not only just at his school, but for the majority of these, 5-star programs. He knows who can play. He knows who can't. He went with Joe tackle out of Notre Dame. He was the number one tackle on damn near everybody's board. Slam dunk. And if you've watched or followed Jim Harbaugh for any capacity, he had a quote the day after the draft. We were recording this Saturday night, so the draft is officially over. But he had a quote after the draft. After it might have been the next day, saying, "Oh, well, some people are like, oh, what about our weapons? Well, the offensive line is a weapon, and I agree with that. So you keep Panasol at left tackle or move him over, which whoever's going to end up playing left tackle, the opposite's going to play right. You're probably going to keep did I say Panasol? Rashawn Slater. That's who it is. Rashawn Slater at. You're gonna keep Rashawn Slater at left tackle and move Joe Alt to right tackle, and then if Slater gets dinged, you can move Joe Alt over in his absence. But best tackle off the board. Jim Harbaugh wants to run the ball and play hard nosed defense, which that's been his MO for 20 years. The only shock was that he kept the pick to me. It's not who he took. The New York Giants get Daniel Jones, a legit number one weapon in Malik Neighbors. Fast, strong, run after the catch. His comparisons are to a Jamar Chase type. Get him the ball in space as fast as you can and watch him dance. You can line him up outside. You can line him up inside. His speed will dominate. He's probably, outside of Xavier Worthy, the fastest receiver in this draft and the most electric with the ball in his hands. We saw at LSU him dominate with the ball in his hands, set multiple school records. So I think it's a good pick for the Giants. That you know you're not going to be good anyways. You might as well give Daniel Jones or whoever's after him a legit number one weapon. Now, to go to the seventh pick, the Titans end up taking J.C. Latham, tackle out of Alabama. Uh, we knew they were going to go offensive lineman, and when Joe Alt flew off the board, it's like, oh, well, damn. There goes our guy. Let's get the next best tackle. Who he's a good he's a good tackle who's going to start. I don't have any complaints. Your offensive line picks aren't sexy. They're not going to move pardon me. They're not going to move the needle really. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not a flashy pick. Oh, like Malik Neighbors is going to score touchdowns. It's going to be all over social media. And unless you're a lineman and you get drafted and you get a pancake block on a 190-pound DB, someone who you outweigh by 70, 80 pounds, there's no flash. There's no flash. Now, the shock of the draft. With the eighth pick, the Atlanta Falcons decided to select Michael Penix. Now, this shocked me in more ways than I could count. Probably higher than I could count. This was I don't know. I don't know what Atlanta's doing. You give Kirk Cousins $45 million a year, 30, what, 4? How old is Kirk? How old is Kirk Cousins? Kirk Cousins. How old is Kirk? He's 35. They're a 35-year-old coming off of an Achilles. You give him $45 million a year, and you go draft a quarterback anyways. It makes no sense to me. Like, what direction are you going as a franchise? What's the it? It amazes me for the simple fact that as fa- I'm not a Falcon fan, but as a fan, I'd be pissed. What's the direction? Where are we going? You sign Kirk for this crazy contract, and then it's like, okay, well, we're gonna try and contend for the division due to we might have the best quarterback in the division. If you have best quarterback in division, your chances of winning said division increase greatly. And you go get Kirk, who's the best quarterback on the market, and you draft one anyway, who he's not gonna see the field. Oh my goodness, pardon me. Yeah, who he's not gonna see the field for at least on either Kirk's leg falls off or uh, this Kirk Cousins contract is not only he's untradeable. He's untradeable. No one's gonna trade for that contract at 35 coming off an Achilles. You did. You did, Atlanta Falcons. You gave him the contract. And now you draft this kid, Michael Penix, who good player, really good player. I love his game. He's faster than what you think. He might be the best pure passer in this entire draft. But the, it it's a conflict of like you already have one. You don't need another one. This isn't the NBA where you need depth. Like you had your pick of all of the defensive players, a defense that struggled last year. Well, let me not say struggled. They were good in in chunks of the season. Good, not great. You know what they needed? A pass rusher, and they get a backup quarterback. They needed a pass rusher, and they got a backup quarterback. That's what amazed me. That's enough on that pick. Let's go to number 9. The Bears take Roma Denze, which that's slam dunk pick, slam dunk pick, slam dunk pick. This is just to bolster that Caleb Williams has the best team any number one overall quarterback has ever gone to. Probably best defense in your division. You have DJ Moore, number one receiver. Keenan Allen, who will probably play either, probably do majority of his work in the slot because that's where he destroys people in the slot. And then you have Roma Denzel on the outside on the other side of DJ Moore. Like, hey, this team's going to contend for a wild card spot. They're probably going to win, you know, 8 to 10 games and contend for a playoff spot. That's just how talented this team is, like from top to bottom. And that's just offense. We're not talking about, the stars and keys pieces that they have on defense. With the 10th pick, we have a trade. Move the Vikings swap picks with the Jets, so they move up one spot and they take JJ McCarthy. I like JJ McCarthy. I think he's gonna work. Kevin O'Connell is an offensive genius. I love the way he sees the game. You have the best wide receiver in all of football on your team. You have a great young left tackle. The roster as a whole, including defense, is still work in progress, but you could sit a year behind Sam Darnold and chill and learn, and I think he's going to work out in Minnesota. I think he's going to be good. Really, really good. He's not great at any one thing, but he's good at a lot. He's mobile enough, he's accurate enough, his arm is strong enough, and he's smart enough to play the position. Flat, plain, simple. Now to move on to the Jets. I thought they were going to do something dumb and see a shiny toy like Brock Bowers and take him. as opposed to the smart thing. What they did, linemen. They took a kid out of Penn State. I don't know how to say his first name. I don't want to butcher it. His last name's Fashanu. This just it bolsters the line that's going to protect your moneymaker. That's it. You have your moneymaker in Aaron Rodgers. You have good enough weapons. You have a good defense. Can you keep Aaron upright? If they didn't draft a tackle, I didn't know. I'd bet the under he plays less than 14 games because that line is piss poor. I understand they got like Tyron Smith, but he's old and is gonna miss 4 or 5 games this year because that's just what Tyron Smith does at this stage of his career. So they got a tackle to help Aaron stay upright, which is good. We love that because we all want to see Aaron Rodgers throw the football. The league's more fun. Football's better when Aaron is in it and throwing the ball. At 12, Denver takes Bo Nix, quarterback out of Oregon. I think that he's not good for every situation, but for a Sean Payton style offense, I think Bo Nix is going to be really good. I think Bo Nix is going to be good. Now, when I mean, like I'm saying, a lot of these quarterbacks go to their ideal spots, unless you're named Drake May, um, and that they all have potential to be really good. Well, what is really good? I think they're going to show flashes as to, okay, that's why they took me, assuming they play, or you're drafted into a system, Bo Nix, that Bo Nix is going to be asked 2 3 step drop, get the ball out quick, and what did Bo Nix do at Oregon? 2 3 step drop, get it out, 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 really, really, really fast. That's what Sean Payton likes, and he loves accuracy. Bo Nix is accurate. 13 of the Las Vegas Raiders. They take Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers, he's one of the four. He's one of the 3 or 4 kids in the first round that they're going to hit the floor and they're going to sprint. He's outstanding. He might not be the blocker that you would want if you played in the early 2000s or late 90s. He's baby Kelsey. He's not overly tall. He's fast, he's nimble, he's lean, he has great hands, he's got wiggle, he knows how to shift his body weight. He dominated the best, he dominated the best conference in college over the past 12, 15 years in the SEC. Like he went to Georgia and just dominated. The Saints take a offensive tackle Fuaga out of Oregon State, good. That'll help once again. That'll keep Derek Carr standing. And Derek Carr got nicked a couple times last year, had to miss a couple games. So logical pick for. Pardon me. Like I mentioned earlier with the Titans and the Chargers, these linemen aren't sexy picks. They're not sexy at all. They're they are the eat your vegetables, kid. That's it. It's not sexy. It's not fun or cool to take offensive linemen, but it needs to be done if you want your moneymakers, your quarterbacks, to stay upright. And I think he's a good player, and I think that he's going to do well uh, in New Orleans. The first defensive player. Oh my god. Yeah. Pardon me. The first defensive player goes 15 to the Colts. Wow, wow, wow. They take the edge rusher out of UCLA. Latu, pardon me, my eyes are watering. He's probably the best pure pass rusher in this draft. I like Dallas Turner. I thought Dallas Turner was going to be the first defensive player taken off the board. I don't hate that the Colts did this. The kid's only question mark is injuries because he had a really bad neck injury in college. and I think that it had it's a chance of one bad wrap up, one bad roll up, or anything like that, and his career could potentially be done, which sucks because I think he's a really strong talent. Like I said, as a pure pass rusher, he's probably the best in the entire draft. Good pick by Indy. I thought they were going to go DB, but once again, really good pick. Let's go to 16. Byron Murphy Jr. out of Texas going to the Seahawks. The Seahawks have needed uh, interior defensive line help for what the better part of 3-4 years. Like they can't stop the run when they needed to. They just they couldn't, and they couldn't generate interior line uh, pressure. Like they have a couple good edge guys, but as a quarterback, I can easily manipulate that just by stepping up in the pocket if I have room. And I think this kid's going to be a great young player, and I think he's going to flash early and often for Seahawks fans. I think that he's one of those players. He's going to get to the quarterback. He's going to be a disruptor in the run game. He uses his hands great. He knows how to get through double teams and play with power. And he showed that in Texas, and I think it'll translate into the NFL. Number 17, the Jacksonville Jaguars trade their pick to the Minnesota Vikings, and someone I mentioned 2 picks earlier. Dallas Turner, edge rusher out of Alabama, gets taken by the Vikings. Okay, so Minnesota gets their quarterback and their pass rusher. What team also did that just last? The Texans did that last year. They got their quarterback, they got their pass rusher. Now, do I think that the Vikings are going to go on the ride the Texans went on last year? No. But it's more likely that they do it due to the conference they're in. The NFC, if your name's not Detroit, San Francisco, what's like everything else is kind of open. Then it's like Philly with new offensive coordinators. Now, granted, they're better than last year, but new offensive coordinators. The Rams who just lost Aaron Donald. The Bears with a rookie quarterback. The Packers who are just getting better, but they're still young. So, like, they could do some damage. They could do some damage. I love Dallas Turner. I think he's a good edge rusher. He's great in the run game at setting the edge. He can generate enough pressure to help pardon me. Yeah. I don't know if he'll be the player Daniil Hunter was, but they lose Daniil Hunter, you go get an edge in the draft. So now he's a younger, cheaper version of Daniil Hunter. Because what wins in the NFL these days? Quarterback play and pass rush play. Who can control the line? That is one thing that I don't care how far ahead the NFL goes, like high flying offense scoring. If you control, he who controls the line of scrimmage wins the game. Damn near every time. He who controls the line of scrimmage will control the game and win. Let's move on to the Bengals. They take Amarius Mims, tackle out of Georgia, who I think started 8 career games in college. 8? Maybe it was only 8 for Georgia. I don't know. I saw that stat. I didn't do my due diligence. But it amazes me in which you're gonna take a inexperienced tackle against that division. Granted, I know you need offensive line help, so I get the reasoning behind the pick. But the fact of the matter is, he plays right tackle. That's T.J. Watt's side. When you're building your team, you build it from within your division, and then you go to the conference, then you go to the league. This kid's gonna get beat up by T.J. Watt. You don't think when y'all play the Browns, they're gonna say, okay, Myles Garrett, go line up on the side with the rookie, or it's just Zadarius Smith, go line up on that side. I don't even know if Zadarius Smith is still on the Browns. Let me fact check that. Zadarius Smith is, yeah, he's still on the Browns. That's what I assumed. I just, he's an older player getting up there in age. Didn't know if he was a free agent or just moved. Now let's transition to the 19th pick. Rams. Rams. I thought the Rams were going to go defensive tackle due to, they lost Aaron Donald. Where was Aaron Donald? He was a defensive tackle. So you needed to fill that hole. They take Jared Verse, who's a really good edge out of Florida State. I liked him. He is not. He plays with power, but he's more of a finesse pass rusher to me. He still uses his arms great. He can set the edge in the run game for a Rams defense that, let's face it, they were playing a bunch of kids. They were playing a bunch of kids last year, and they were still within striking distance of beating and upsetting the Lions. Good pick. 20, my Pittsburgh Steelers. Troy. I'm not even gonna butcher this kid's last name. New Troy. uh, he not a sexy pick, but the pick that needed to be made. I thought, I wanted at first, you trade Deontay Johnson to get some DB help. Go get Brian Thomas. 6'4", Brian Thomas. 6'3", George Pickens. But then I thought, after the pick was made, I was like, well, it's not a sexy pick, but he's tough. He knows how to play like a Steeler. And after he got drafted, old tweets were coming up on Twitter of him being a Steelers fan and Troy Polamalu being his favorite player, which we loved that. We love when players come in and they know what it means to be a Steeler and they've seen the Steelers way, even as a fan. Um, Now let's transition to the Dolphins pick. They'd take Chop Robinson, edge, out of Penn State. Smart, smart pick. They Bradley Chubb and Jaden Phillips, or Jalen Phillips, my bad. Both had season-ending injuries last year. I don't know when they're going to be ready to come back this upcoming year. I don't know if they're going to be ready week one, and even if they do, are they going to be at 100% for depth in the NFL? In my opinion, one of the biggest spots to have depth is D line and edge rushers. Start cycling these. Start having a cycle in which you bring in these pass rushers because you're bringing them in when they're fresh and rested from the sideline to get maximum effort. You're bringing in fresh legs on tired legs in the offensive line. Let's move straight to 22. Uh, Quinion Mitchell goes to the Eagles. It's a classic Eagles pick to me. It's classic. There's no if, no ands, no buts. It's a classic Eagles pick. They take the best DB. Why? James Bradbury can't play anymore, and Darius Slay's getting up there in age. Darius Slay's still a good to slightly above average corner, and they need help on that end. But the key to the Eagles' success is the D line. Let's not get it twisted. We all know that is the front end and the back end work together. So they're gonna need to. I don't know how to relight the fire under their defensive line to get them to play better. Let's move to pick 23. Brian Thomas gets selected by the Jacksonville Jaguars via the trade that they made with the Detroit. No, that they made with the Minnesota Vikings when they traded for the 23rd pick about a month ago. Uh, I like Brian Thomas. I I wanted him as a Steeler, but I think he went to a better situation with an offensive head coach, a better quarterback. I think he's going to be really good in Jacksonville. Tall, fast, rangy, big hands, and they replace Calvin Ridley. A lot of these moves are just, oh, we lost that player in free agency, or we traded away that player, or that player retired. Oh, we'll just go draft one in the exact same position, and then we'll go from there. So I really thought that the Jags were gonna pick the wrong player. I thought they were gonna go right position, wrong player. They went right position, right player. So good job, Jags. You have your new wide receiver number one. The Dallas Cowboys were on the clock and they traded this pick to the Detroit Lions. They take Terrion Arnold, cornerback out of Alabama. I think this is a great pick for a defense that needed just a little bit more help in that NFC Championship game. Just a little bit more. I think he's like these Alabama defenders, whether they be defensive linemen, edge rushers, linebackers, safeties, corners, they're all gonna come into the NFL ready to play. Their practices were hell, and he's a really great cover corner. And what do the Lions need? They need DBs. Rushing the passer isn't they have one pure pass rusher in Aiden, but that's not their problem. Their problem is the back end. Even if Aiden can get home in 3.5 seconds, the ball's getting out in 3 seconds and it's going 30 yards down the field that way. So I think it's a good pick for the Detroit Lions. The Green Bay Packers took a tackle out of Arizona, Jordan Morgan, good tackle. Once again, not the sexiest pick, but a pick that needs to be made nonetheless. 26, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers take a center. They've been looking for a center since Ryan Jensen retired. Like, let's just get that out of the way. They've been looking for a center since Ryan Jensen retired. Um, Graham Barton is the center that they took. I thought, JPJ or the kid the Steelers took in the second round would have been a better selection. But I'm not a scout. I'm a football fan with a mind and a love for this game. Just my opinion. Um, Arizona with the 27th pick, they take a defensive end, Darius Robinson out of Missouri. Good D end. The Cardinals, they have so many holes. They have so many holes in their team, in their roster. But getting Harrison Jr. and getting this D end, it'll start to help. You know, they weren't a receiver in a D end away, but this is a step in the right direction for the Arizona Cardinals organization and for the Arizona Cardinals moving forward. Um, then to me, what was the second shock of the night? The Bills are on the clock. They trade their pick to the Chiefs. And the Chiefs draft Xavier Worthy, the fastest player in combine history, one of the fastest players coming out of college we've ever seen. And this kid can flat out fly. Comparisons, a slightly taller version of Deshaun Jackson. Like this kid, his only problem is he's 160 pounds. So it takes one rolled ankle where you're trying to fight for that extra 2-3 yards, and linemen are meatheads and they come and clean the pile and you get rolled up on, and it's like, damn, if he could put on 10, 15 pounds, I think he would have, but some people just can't put on weight. Some people just flat out they can't put it on, and it's no fault to them but their genetics. I think it's a good pick for. I think it's a great pick for the Chiefs. It's not that I think he unlocks something from their offense, but I think he helps with what Tyreek Hill did as a decoy when he was just on the field when he was with the Chiefs. That threat of the we're gonna get just a one play 76-yard touchdown right now, and Isaiah Pacheco's not gonna see 6 7 people in the box anymore, which is good for the Chiefs. You know, I'm not a Chiefs fan, but I think the pick, like, I can see pros and cons for both sides of the argument. Let's go to 29. This was where the Detroit Lions were until they made the pick swap with the Cowboys. They went with Tyler Guyton, tackle out of Oklahoma. They like the Cowboys needed. They don't need a lot, but they needed a running back. Now, I don't think any running back deserved to be picked in the top 32. So, not. I hate just beating the hell out of this drum. It's not a sexy pick. I'm not going to kill the Cowboys for it because historically they've drafted offensive linemen. They've drafted good ones. So I'm not mad at them for drafting another one. If they like the kid, take him. Take him and he'll probably work out because that's just what Dallas Cowboys do. They draft offensive linemen. Um, Number 30, Nate Wiggins for Baltimore. Baltimore just does shit like this all the time. Like, Nate Wiggins is available. Oh, let's go take one of, if not the best corner available here, and we're going to play hard nosed defense. That's just what they do. They just do shit like this. And then he's going to be outstanding. And then by week 10, he's going to be, even better than how he is when he starts, because of course he is. And then we're going to be like, damn, how the fuck did Nate Wiggins fall to 30 to Baltimore? You know why? Because of course he did. Of course he did. The Niners with the 31st pick took wide receiver Ricky Pearsall. I hope I didn't butcher that. Wide receiver out of Florida. I thought it was a reach. Good receiver. I just thought it was a reach. And I mean, he's going to be playing in the slot because assuming they don't trade Debo or Brandon Ayuk, he's just going to play in the slot. So he's a slot kid who's going to catch 40 to 57 balls this year, and it's a Shanahan offense, and he drafted a weapon. What more do you want me to say? It's going to work. It doesn't matter if I or any analysts or pundits say, oh, it's a reach. It's Kyle Shanahan drafting a receiver. It's going to work. My bad. It doesn't even have to be a receiver. A weapon. It's a better word. He drafted a weapon, so of course it's going to work. And of course he's going to have flash. And of course he's going to look good. Uh, Rounding out the last pick of the draft because it has been almost 40 minutes and I am taking way too much time and starting to ramble. The Buffalo Bills are on the clock. They make a trade with Carolina. Carolina moves up, and they take Xavier. I don't know how to say his last name. Leggett. Xavier Leggett. Uh, good, good, good receiver out of South Carolina. The thing about Bryce Young last year, and everyone's like, "Oh, Bryce Young's going to be a bust." Well, he's a undersized quarterback who didn't have shit to throw to, but 32, 33-year-old Adam Thielen. Jonathan Mingo showed flashes. DJ Chark is a speed demon. Um, just get the kid weapons. Just get the kid weapons, and they got him a good one, a good young one. Let, get him his running mate, and let them grow together. Well, that is the cover two that's the cover two podcast review of the first round of the NFL draft. Be sure to follow us on Twitter uh, at the cover two pod 26. Let us know in the comment section below who's your team and are you happy with their draft selection. And if you're just scrolling through YouTube and just stumbled across this video, consider subscribing and if you want to see more of the Cover 2 podcast, yeah, smack the sub button, hit the notification bell so you'll get notified every time a new episode goes live. We post at least once a day. And by the time you guys are seeing this, it will be Sunday night. And so, yeah, I'm I'm done rambling now. Um, I'm saying My name is Lawson Turner for the Cover 2 podcast, everybody. I will talk to you guys later. Peace.